Welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us. Now, the Moti Group says it's studying a court judgment in favor of investigative news agency AmaBungane to publish the company's leaked documents. Yesterday, Gauteng High Court Deputy Judge President Roland Sutherland set aside a gag order. He also ordered the Moti Group to pay costs. A previous ex parte hearing prevented AmaBungane from publishing articles about the company based on documents it obtained in articles called the Moti Files. Let's get reaction now from the company's CEO, Dondo Mogajane. Thank you very much, Mr. Mogajane, for your time here on eNCA. Just first of all, have you been able to peruse through the judgment? And if you have, what's your decision from here? What's the way forward?
No, thank you very much, Mr. Yes, we were able to peruse the document. We were able to study it in detail with our legal colleagues. And yes, I think we are weighing options that we have to consider. We will certainly, decide on what the next steps are. But the natural step is that, we are of the view that a couple of issues are coming in, here in this matter. We think there's a window of opportunity for the matter to be tested further in a constitutional court setting, because I think here there's many rights that we think needs to be tested. One particular such is the right to privacy. And secondly, also, the judge, the ruling, there was no factual finding made on AmaBungane's possession of stolen documents. So we of the view that, that also must be tested because clearly, the judge did not consider these aspects, but only focused mainly on the AmaBungane, argument around ex parte application that was launched by us some time ago.
Mr. Mogajane, in terms of what exactly it is that the Moti Group doesn't want to be released to the public via the media, can you share with us exactly what your issue is with the media being able to gain access to these documents? What would be your concern exactly with that, if you're doing nothing wrong?
Yes, we've got in excess of 4,000 documents that were stolen by Clinton Van Niekerk, one of our ex-employees. He was in our legal division. He stole these documents, and we are of the view that he may have traded these documents, for money, maybe, or for whatever reasons that he has, or he may have issues with us or with the company, or he may be bought by some of our competitors, because in there, we've got personal information, documents around personal staff files. We've got information around proprietary information that, our own approaches and strategy to business. We've got records, we've got agreements, loan agreements, and a whole lot of other documents. So I'm of the view that most of those documents should not be in the public domain. They are confidential in nature. They are belonging to us and to the group, and they relate to individual personal information. Insofar as, and that's the issue, insofar as issues around public interest that came in many times, around whether we are stopping the media from publishing issue of public interest. No, we're not. We're saying, give us the documents back. And we want to treat these documents as stolen documents and not as they claim that these are leaked documents leaked by Clinton Van Niekerk. A person who's a whistleblower myself is not going to trade documentation and information. A person who's a whistleblower is going to go to the police, open a charge, and by the way, there's no case against any of the Moti Group companies as we speak today, or individuals in the Moti Group. So the police have not said to us there's some issue. There's no issue of, the Moti Group does not do business in South Africa at all with government, except obviously we've got private companies that we engage in the mining sector, in the aviation sector, and so on. We're not doing any business with government. And I'm of the view that if there are matters of public interest, yes, those things can come up, and let's deal with them. But of the 4,000 documents that are there, let AmaBungane indicate which ones are public interest. And of course, as the judgment is, they will of course publish it. No one will stop them because the public may have. But there must be a separation here of matters that are interesting to the public and matters that are of public interest. Now, you can imagine, matters can be interesting. If a person, if I drive a Bentley, I walk around and I live, then obviously people will want to be interested in what I do, where I get the money from. But yes, we are in a legitimate business environment here. In the mind, we're doing well and we want to do well. I did indicate in previous interviews, myself, that, I'm here. It's a new environment for me. It's a new area, but I'm prepared to do big things in this company and take this company, a small black-owned company, to greater heights. And I'm going to do that. And AmaBungane is not, in fact, I'm not even talking media here. I'm just talking AmaBungane. From June 8th till today, let them come on and say, what have we done? Now, they did, in the case of the motiviers, indicate issues that they had, in their possession, documents they had in their possession that relates to the group's work in Zimbabwe, back in the around 2014, 2015, somewhere there. My point is, if those issues are of public interest in South Africa, let them be dealt with. If there are issues of public interest in Zimbabwe, let them be dealt with. But the key issue here is that, as per the court, our company documents were stolen.
Yeah.
They are private, they are confidential. And there's a case, by the way, which is the final point. There's a criminal matter pending regarding the theft of this information. We did not go and open a case after AmaBungane started talking about these things. We opened a case long before even AmaBungane had access to any document I can envision. When we realized, through a litigation process that we had against one of our business partners, that he may have information, and that led to, after our own forensic investigation within the company, leading and confirming and proving that he downloaded this information illegally, and stole it, and maybe even use it for personal gain. So for me, we opened the case, and I hope that case will be finalized through by the South African police, so that we are vindicated on this matter around stolen documents.
All right, let's stick with the
different story.
Let's stick with the stolen documents and the fact that in the arguments by your lawyers in the High Court, the argument was that AmaBungane was an accessory after the fact, right? After the theft happened. That was one of the arguments presented on behalf of the Moti Group to the High Court. Judge Sutherland saying that belief cannot be true. Do you think he erred in that, especially now that you mentioned that the SAPS is still investigating?
Look, he may have erred, but the reality is that we obviously will have to take that matter forward. That's why I believe this matter can further be a subject for further testing, legal testing, and I guess our constitutional processes and rights are enshrined, and we can do that. We can do that in a way that will prove us wrong or right at the end. But I'm firmly of the view that they made use of stolen documents. And this may be a bad precedent for us, and we have to be careful here. It may be a bad precedent for us if it's okay to steal someone else's things, documents, cars, houses, everything, and then hide behind some other things, as in this case AmaBungane may have done. But there should have been a balancing, and maybe that's why we need to test this further. Balancing of rights here is important. What is of public interest, yes, it must be published. What is of public interest must be tested. What is personal information cannot be used. I mean, the AmaBungane, because they demonstrated that they're capable of publishing certain private documents. They published bank statements of the Moti Group. One of our companies. What has got that to do as a matter of public interest? It may be interesting that maybe we've got a negative or a positive cash balance, but the reality here is that for what benefit? So I'm of the view that let's allow further legal process issues to be explored here, and our legal divisions and people are looking into that, and they'll advise me, of course, as to what's the next appropriate. I'm not fighting the media. That must be understood, myself. I'm not fighting eNCA. I'm not fighting newspapers. No, I'm just simply, on a matter of principle here, coming with an issue that someone has stolen our documents, illegally downloaded them, and traded the information. That, for me, is an issue that, unfortunately, the court, in this case, did not articulate themselves very clearly. What the court was able to do proper, and in terms of what we've read, is around the ex parte application. The bulk of the order of the 33 pages was on this ex parte application, which I think there's articulation thereof of the reasons why the judge thought or think it was we abused the court process.
The court process,
again, it's a view that's there. Court processes, it's a view that's there. But I think there are many other issues here that were not dealt with by the judge, including stolen documents, our constitutional rights. The judge did not articulate himself on that. We argued those, our lawyers argued those last week, and our lawyers argued around the right to privacy. Judge did not articulate himself, and the court did not articulate himself on this. So that's why I'm saying the next option will be to approach the Constitutional Court as a matter as it relates to our right to privacy.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when you go for the right to privacy, looking at, another court judgment all the way in the Constitutional Court just a few weeks ago about access to the former president's SARS documents and filings, etc. So it's going to be quite interesting when you go towards it with a private company. But Mr. Mogajane, I want to go back to what you said earlier, that you are trying to grow a black private company, etc. Yes. I just want to remind you of what you said publicly after leaving National Treasury, right? You said that if you find anything untoward at the group that you are joining, you will immediately leave and flag it, right? Do you still stand by those words?
Yes, I stand by it. I stand by it, and I will stand by it, Masiko, because I'm running an enterprise here that's got potential to do well, potential to even one day maybe enlist if we have to do that.
So I'm assuming you and I are having this conversation and after this court ruling because you still believe that there is a lot of good in that company and you haven't seen anything untoward in any of the papers, of the 4,000 papers that the company is trying to gag AmaBungane from making public.
Look, the point I'm making is that I came in, I did as I said before, I think maybe to you or to others, I looked at the company, I engaged with Zunit over a long period, and I asked him, everything that I needed to know about the company. I checked in my own ways, and I found that, yes, I can take the business forward. There is opportunities here to grow the business. And I can tell you, since I started on the 8th of June, 2022, till today, I've focused on trying to grow the business. Unfortunately, this case is just, it's a speed hump in my journey to actually turn the business around and focus the business on new areas of investments and so on. But if, again, I'm saying and I'm confirming, if there's any untoward things that I pick up along the way in my journey trying to do this, I will certainly, walk away, because I wouldn't want to be associated with anything that may be untoward in the way that this business must be run. Because I think here there's a bigger role that I want to play and the bigger impact that I want to make for the company, for the Moti Group, as a whole, because we employ people here, we employ people in Zimbabwe. But again, the right to be heard must be, the audi alteram partem rule must always apply. I guess AmaBungane and any media house should feel free to ask me questions, to feel free to ask anybody questions before they publish and understand and not in their reporting be biased in any way, because that unfortunately is unfair. And I'm of the view that, obviously in some instances they did, and I did, by the way, file a complaint with the press ombud in June, and on other matters that I thought they were being unfair to us, and it's up to the ombud to decide. And I know the ombud was waiting for this judgment yesterday, so anytime we will obviously get to understand what are those issues. But the reality is that here, I am here in trying to build a business. I'm trying to improve what I believe black excellence can do, and I'm going to do that to the best of my abilities. And if we fail, and we shouldn't be distracted for other motives that may be ulterior to making me achieve this thing and bring in things that do not belong to my space in this company now, because clearly I think that will be unfair in a way that I'm being treated, and this company is judged on its fortunes that it must build moving forward.
All right. So basically, you're not fighting the media, and you're saying that you have no problem with documents being made public as long as it doesn't infringe on the right to privacy. Am I getting that right? Just a quick yes or no.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you.
If they're of public interest.
All right.
Not when they are interesting. Not when they are interesting.
All right. Well, you know,
There's a
it's quite
difference,
something in South Africa, Mr. Mogajane. And I mean, you come from government. I'm sure you would know that when anything, you know, is given, you know, we have that where there's smoke, there's fire type of thing in South Africa because we're so despondent. And the corruption that we've seen in our country, whether allegation or proven to be true, usually has to do with government and the private business. And it's always a corrupter and corruptee. So I think a lot of people are just wondering what the Moti Group is hiding. And I guess that's what we needed to speak to you about this afternoon. Thank you very much for having a conversation with me here on All Angles. That was the CEO of the Moti Group, Dondo Mogajane.